Time to go live. It's that time of the day. What up, y'all? Y'all. Let's take all the chats visible. TikTok has been quite quiet for a while. Okay, let's start with some funny, light-hearted videos that my wife shared with me while we wait if there's somebody online. Immediately some freaking music. Shocking moment, supermarket worker wipes customer out with stack of trolleys. Well, that's a lawsuit waiting to happen. Oops. I wonder where that is. That looks like a supermarket. No, not a supermarket, but that looks like a shopping center we have in Finland. What's up, Rachel? That could hurt, but that's a lawsuit. That's an easy lawsuit for the customer getting wiped out by those trolleys.
Be cooking. If God didn't want women to be cooking, he wouldn't have put milk and eggs in their body.
If God didn't want men to make sweet gay love, then he wouldn't have put their prostates in their booty hole.
Damn, that looks like it hurt. Oh yeah, 100%. The trolley, not this one, the trolley one. Yeah, I do agree. Like, because you can't really anticipate like the trolleys coming because they're coming behind you. And the unfortunate thing about this trolley accident is like, after the first one misses you, if you look closely, like literally the first ones go past you, and then you think you're on the clear, and then all of a sudden whiplash, you get like hit with the other ones. Yeah, but that's an easy lawsuit, an easy payday. Gandalf the Grey got no shit on me. Witch King of Angmar. True, that is true. That is true. That's a good call out.
If God didn't want women...
Ozzy, is that you? Once again. Yes, it is me. Once again, it is me. That's like... I think the 6th time in 2 days. And I'm gonna make an Aussie counter soon because there's so many people calling me Aussie that we need a counter. Don't you dare leave again. No, like Sharon doesn't know I'm back. So as long as Sharon is unaware that I'm back, I'm gonna be here for a while. So don't worry. Just don't go, telling other people this because then Sharon might hear about that. And then I need to go away again.
God didn't want women to be cooking, he wouldn't have put milk and eggs in their body.
If God didn't want men to make sweet gay love, then he wouldn't have put their prostates in their booty hole.
That's hard facts. You look like an elf, and I don't like elves. I mean, yeah, I can see that. I don't have pointy ears, though, so... maybe a human, if you think about it, like Boromir or Aragorn or even Isildur, like, they look kind of like, more like me. But that's because, like, if you put pointy ears on Aragorn or Boromir, all of a sudden they're elves.
As you know, the farmers like me, because based on voting trends, you could call it voting trends or anything else, but
I wouldn't go with voting trends per se. I would go like, how hard is the tariffs hitting the farmers more than the voting trends? So, and based on the tariffs and how much the farmers has been suffering, I don't think they like you that much. But getting bailed out by $12 billion could change their mind, though.
Great people. They're the backbone of our country.
They're the backbone of our country, and that's the reason why I made them suffer. While Trump's tariffs weren't meant to spur domestic production, China retaliated by halting purchases of US farm products. Yeah. That's called a trade war. That happened in 2018 as well. Because, like, this is not the first rodeo that the US farmers have had with Trump and tariffs. Back in 2018, Trump also bailed the farmers for $12 billion because of trade wars with China. So this is part 2. And we all know that you can't have 2 movies. You need to have a trilogy. So we're waiting for the part 3. Are you American? No. I was born in Minas Tirith, so I'm a Middle Earthian. I'm gonna like double Trump is an idiot. Oh yeah, I mean, I don't think he's a full-blown idiot. He's just gullible. He doesn't really think about what he's doing before he's doing that. That could be a definition of an idiot, but I think he also just trusts people around him a bit too much. They say Lord of the Rings is racist nowadays. I mean, I remember that now. It's not like nowadays. I think that's like 10-year-old, like 10 years ago they said that originally. Why don't you guys do something about the Zionist lobbyists controlling your politics and your whole government? Which country? Minas Tirith. But like, saying a lot of... Did you believe in God? No. No, I don't. But like 10 years ago, they said that Lord of the Rings was racist. Yeah, true. I remember that news. And you can technically... like, put modern day politics into any movie set and make them make sense. Are you an atheist? Yeah. Why it was racist? Oh my, I think it was... I don't want to misquote myself. Like, I don't want to misquote it, but it was had something to do with the orcs. There was a teacher who wouldn't pass kids unless they agreed to it. I call bullshit on that, though. Slavery, yeah. But if you want to watch a really interesting children's cartoon that is actually relevant these days, you should definitely watch Alfred J. Kwak. I know BSU. I think you are. The Lord of the Rings trilogy is the best movie of all time in history. I don't think it is. The books are good. I don't think the movies are. I have doubts too, because I believe if there's a God, why there's a lot right. This TV series was a thing that I watched when I was a kid. And as an adult watching this with my kids, I actually realized that how super political this cartoon was. And it's one of my favorite cartoons ever because it teaches really good values. And also teaches the dangers of different sorts of like ideologies. I don't think it's personal since you said you were a Middle Earthian. It made me remember. Yeah. Anti-communist cartoon. No. I mean, there is actually parts of it that are like showing the dangers of socialism in this cartoon as well. It has 18 Oscar awards. Tell me a movie that had moral weight. Does getting Oscar awards that are decided beforehand make a movie great? Oh my god, do you think they're injecting woke ideology into current video games? I mean, I think video game developers are making video games that they want to make or think that the consumers will buy. Like Alfred E. Kwok has episodes of like socialism, capitalism, pure racism. Then they have like one of the characters is a crow who colors his beak black because he was born with a yellow beak, and he becomes literally, he creates a third Reich in the series. Of course, they defeat him, but he literally creates a party which follows the footsteps of Adolf. Americans will never see a finished duck. Oh yeah. It's not Finnish, it's French actually. I can... So Alfred J. Kwok has a character called Korpi, which is not that subtle if you think about it. And he goes away because he gets caught stealing something, and he needs to flee the country. And he comes back and decides to go to politics and takes over the whole world. If you die and you figured out what there is no God after death, but if you died and there is a God, you're cooked. No, I'm not. Alfred Hotler. And the funny thing is, people follow this because he promises exactly the same things like Adolf did in the 20s and 30s. He promises to make the water world, which is the place where they live, great again, better. Does that sound familiar? Greetings from Austria. Wait, what was the name of the show? It's Alfred E. Kwok. It's the name of the character, literally. I'm black, is that bad? No, black is fine. Communism is good, it depends who implement it, because if implemented correctly, it would be paradise, but for now, I think still no one achieve it. Yeah, in the, like, I do want to believe, like, in greed and human nature, communism could work. But unfortunately, there's always greed, and there's always that one group of people that want to take power, and that's how communism doesn't work. Well, no, you can't implement communism correctly. No, you can't, because humans. Like, in a utopia, it's a fine, like, thought process. But unfortunately, us humans can't do that. What's your opinion on Brave New World and 1984? You mean that, again, Big Brother is looking over for you? I mean, are we living in that world now? Not really. Kinda. It kinda depends how you look at it. I mean, 1984 as a book, and I think they did that short film about it. It's fine. But what about the handicapped people? Would they be included into the paradise too? Yeah, why not? Handicapped people need capitalism, period, if there would be one. We're talking about God, I think. Communism isn't fair in real life. People aren't on the same level. I mean, if we're talking about fair, it is literally fair for all. It doesn't reward for you for your efforts and your participation. That could be considered unfair, but the end result is fair. That's like literally equal. Socialism has no incentive to invent a robot arm. Why not? Like the best sort of like communistic utopia would be powered by AI and robots, and as humans could just enjoy our lives, you know. Suomi, yeah, Captain's log. Hello, Sweden. but owners of a company and the workers aren't fair. Powered by capitalist built robots. Yeah. Check. What up, Top Talker? Thanks for the heart and go Bubbler. A Moro Captain log. But yeah, like, if we want to, because like at the moment we're stuck in a fucking wheel. Mixed economy are the best way forward, which mixtures and how will take time to figure out. Yeah, Tommy Star. The Finnish and the Nordic model, where you have a healthy public sector and a healthy private sector coexisting, nobody's taking power over each other. That's the best form of a society you can have. Love from India, love back. Lol, what the fuck are you even talking about? If workers want to own a factory, they can all buy one together and own stake like blockchain. I think about including the handicapped people a lot because I am attending the caretaker job and currently working with them. All the workers can own one factory. It's up to the owner to take all the risks. I like you will always end up with one person owning the most important stuff because they'll work harder for it. And Scandinavia are not mixed. They are private property capitalists with social Scandinavia are not socialist. They have social programs. Scandinavian countries and Nordic countries are a mix of both, like a healthy mix of both. And this is coming from a Finnish person. It's not socialism, but they have more socialism implemented there than almost anywhere else. Just like when you look at healthcare, and Sweden don't all share ownership in their houses. That doesn't mean that they don't have socialistic policies there. It is mixed. Even Swedes are mixed. The Swedes and Finns and Norwegian. Well, Norwegian is a bit of an anomaly when it comes to this, but Swedes and Finns are quite close to each other when it comes to policies. I like free market. If you think of nifty idea to sell, you can make it a thing, but I just slopped today another original though going on. But I do like free market as well, but I like regulated free market. I don't like uncapped free market. Socialism means communism. It's by definition. That's like being half pregnant. No. You're making it black and white. The healthcare system in Finland. Yeah, taxes are coming from capitalist. Capitalist like companies. They have VAT taxes. They are taxing the citizens on income as well. And those are all going to the public programs and public policies they have. Aska, you get your data from Ding Ding World. Captain's log is also from the Nordic countries. You can't even argue the point you're doing an ad hominem. No. It's like say you can be male and female mixed. Yes, Finland is capitalist. No, it's not. Like let's take the Finnish healthcare for example. Do you think the Finnish healthcare is all private healthcare, or is it funded by the government? Majority of the Finnish healthcare. Oh, not you, the commenter. Okay. Okay. Gotcha. Now I'm just an old gamer to see the very thing I like to be ruined by libtards. No, healthcare is a socialistic program that we started implementing back in the, I would like to say after the Second World War, that everybody in the country, all citizens in the country chip in to provide free healthcare to everyone. Thanks, Alicia, you've been chill. No worries. I'm just trying to keep up with the chat. The chat is going quite fast and it's kind of interesting. No, that's why we're talking about like why there needs to be a really strong public sector that is funded by the citizens, by taxes, and then we have a strong private sector. That's why we have a mix of both. if we only have a really strong private sector and not a strong public sector, that is not working for the like people who are not doing well. But if we only have a strong public sector without a healthy private sector, that is also not working, because as you said, we kind of need capitalism in some sort of a way. You don't look like Alish. It's a nickname. I can have a nickname of like, I don't know, Saitama for One Punch Man. I wouldn't look like Saitama either. That's why like, this is what we Finns learned when we started the universal healthcare for everyone, was that we needed to mix both the public healthcare and also a bit of private healthcare. So people who have money, they can access the private healthcare if they want to, but all the people who don't have the money can access the public healthcare. And that's funded by the citizens of Finland, everybody who works in Finland, and everybody who buys anything in Finland or from Finland are participating in this social program. You know, socialism in Finland would be if you lost the Winter War. What do you mean? Like, there was a continuous war after Winter War, and we lost that. We won the Winter War, but we lost the war 2 years later. You know? Finland is doing amazing because you guys don't take low-life foreigners. UK is down and my country is next us. No. Finland has taken and does take a lot of immigrants. I don't know where you get your facts from, but Finland is one race. In America, this would mean one race white Europeans having to pay for black people and Hispanic immigrants. It's not the same as in ethnostate. It's having one race or an ethnostate makes it easier or do social programs. Finland is quite multicultural, though. We also have like, okay, if you define groups by race, but that's also something that the Nordics and the Finns have learned really fast, that everybody who lives there and everybody who works for the same the goal, we are one, regardless of the color of your skin and regardless where you come from. Finland is mostly Finn, just like United States is mostly Americans. And you're talking about the color of the skin because, like, anybody can become Finnish if you move to Finland and you stay there for an X amount of time and work and you get your citizenship. How do you define being Finnish? In 2 years, I'll be Irish. You know? Yes, but Finland is beautiful. My country is slowing being overrun. You guys are a majority, where here is becoming a minority, or our race is dying. So we're talking about the color of your skin. There's another problem because, like, Americans are inherently greedy and selfish. That's something why America would probably never implement things that we are doing in Finland, for example. Americans want to have everything they get by themselves. They are not willing to share. They don't have that mentality that they might have had like over 100 years ago, like 200 years ago. It's culture, not skin. We have immigrants who have trouble integrating. Finnish is one of the hardest languages to learn. And also, we're not even talking about the written version of Finnish. So integrating to America isn't that hard. It's just that what we're talking about integrating to a country is also defined by, well, you're not going to church and such. Though that, like, for example, in the United States, there's a lot of uproar because a lot of immigrants aren't participating in what Americans think that they should be doing, like the traditional stuff. We focus on foreigners and making us real American apologies every day for everything. Even you in Finland will get blamed just for being white, but the sad thing is a lot of Europeans have already... What? Being selfish is good. No, it's not. I don't think so. But that's again like our opinions differ. You may think that being selfish is okay, and I think selfishness is kind of silly in this globe that we live in, you know? Finnish have high IQ, so it's fine. America has a lot of drug addicts, low IQ criminals. They want us to pay for the healthcare so we can't have children. Now we're skipping quite a lot of like different topics here. Americans having to give up half their income for someone else to get healthcare at the cost of us having children. How is that not genocide? Well, that doesn't dictate, that doesn't like fit the criteria of a genocide. And the Finns pay higher taxes per income. Our income taxes are higher than the Americans, though. I think corporations should rule the civil rights economies and politics. If we pay taxes, we can't have kids, period. Why? It literally takes away the ability to have 3 kids, and you can only have 1, so that's killing 2 kids pretty much. You can pay taxes and have kids. I don't know why you think like this. Do you think America is a Russian ally? I don't think America is a Russian ally. I think some of the leaders are Russian allies. Why? Because you can't afford it. Of course you can. If Finland had more brain than us, you guys would have bigger land. We could overtake Finland and Greenland. In America, it costs 100,000 to have... What? In America, we have to pay for healthcare. Yeah, I know. That's your government's choice. You spend, what? 1.9 trillion on an army. And your closest threat is Russia. And you spend majority, like, you spend so much on your military complex, which is like silly because kind of you produce weapons, but they're not produced by the country. They're produced by an independent, like, private company that sells them to your country. That money could be spent better. I know that everything costs in America, but that's because your healthcare system sucks. And nobody's doing anything for it. You pay a lot of taxes already. But your tax dollars aren't going where they're supposed to go. They're going in all the wrong places. So how you use your tax dollars is the reason why everything sucks in America. America protects Finland from Russia. No, it doesn't. We got bases near or in Finland, so we can't have healthcare, I agree. US military spending isn't mostly on European NATO bases, though. No, it doesn't. America protects many of those small Euro countries. Bro, Finland is NATO, NATO is America. Finland has been in NATO for 2 years. So that's a tall claim that we can lump together that 100-year history that Finland has had when Finland was independent, based on that 2-year period. So again, I think you depend on us. No, we don't. We've been in NATO for 2 years, only 2 years. What about the 100 years before that? You know about the Winter War, but you don't know about the Continuous War. You don't know about the Reds versus Whites. Like, what are we talking about here? You're arguing with literally a local expert. about Finnish history. Nokia didn't even depend on you. I worked at Nokia. Oh my fucking god. 2000 from okay, well, I did work in Nokia in 2007, 2009, so I didn't work at Nokia that long. You guys stayed out of wars because of not being on NATO. Now Finland will fall. Nah, I don't think so. Bingo. Bingo bango.
Politicians often boast that America has the
Strongest and most powerful.
I think I just fell into a rage bait, which is kind of hilarious. But this is a funny conversation, though.
The history of the world.
But behind closed doors, they're being told a different story. New York Times Opinion has learned that the Pentagon has been delivering a classified, comprehensive overview of U.S. military power called the Overmatch Brief. The report shows what could happen if a war were to break out between China and the
Sweden should just take Finland and it would be better overall. I mean, I don't live in Finland anymore, so I don't really care. I think it would actually go the other way around, unfortunately, because Finland has, I think, the biggest reserve of soldiers. Forming NATO's largest reserve pool, and they are all trained. So I think we could give Sweden a run for their money, and I think we would actually win that fight. Because the difference in Finland, it's mandatory to go to the army when you're 18. No. Those are all like the reserve army we have. You have call packs every year that you have additional training. So, okay, so why do Swedes think Finland as less? I seen and heard it because there's a brotherly competition between Swedes and Finns has been since the dawn of time. The same thing is if you ask a Finnish person about Sweden, they will give you the same answer. What is the time in your country? And it's 15 to 8 in the evening, 19:42 p.m. Oh, 7:42 p.m. for the US. Sorry. Finland has secret nuclear weapons. No, they don't. Finns will never admit they have nukes, but they need them for Russia. Nah. I do admire anyone who doesn't have nukes. I hate every single country leader that still keeps nukes. But then again, I'm a pacifist, so. But yeah, but Finland doesn't have nukes.
United States.
And it's 1:12 a.m. in my country. Can you guess my country? 1:12 a.m. You're close to India, I think.
The results are alarming.
But does Finland have nuclear
Last
power?
November, Secretary
Yes, we do. Yes, we do. But we could have, yeah.
of Defense Pete Hegseth said that in all of the Pentagon's war games against
Kind
China,
of the same thing. Nuclear
we
power
lose
and
every
nuclear
time.
weapons aren't the same thing, though.
China's military threats against Taiwan are becoming more pronounced.
They do not.
Yeah, bro, you're a smart man. I know people from India. So I calculated the time difference. Which is tripping because you change clocks in different times than us do, like the daylight savings. Hypercorporate techno-feudalist neo-libertarian capitalism is what every society needs. Oh my fucking god. Finland has the ability to build a nuke. They're smart. I bet they have instructions memorized like idea. You fought the Koreans so long ago. The Finns?
believe it's a question of if China will invade, but when.
A war with
But what's your country, brother? Ireland. Ireland. But why did I move to Ireland if Finland is so freaking great?
China might
Think
seem
about
purely
that.
hypothetical. But China's leader has ordered the People's Liberation Army to be ready to seize the island of Taiwan by 2027. And past US presidents have said that America would defend the island nation's thriving democracy.
Are you willing to get involved militarily to defend Taiwan if it comes to that?
Yes.
But defending Taiwan won't be easy, because America now faces two new threats. War in the 21st century has fundamentally changed.
Drones are extremely cost-effective and can cause large amounts of damage.
And China has become a rising power unlike any other that the US has competed with.
As the Trump administration ramps up military spending, they're doubling down on symbols of might,
It'll be known as the F-47. There's never been anything even close to it.
while overlooking alarming
I hope the new fighter jet that they're building is something they've never had before. Finland would only get a nuke of Swedes. Admit they have 2. Yeah, then we would have 3. This is the brotherly feud we have with Swedes, which is completely made up because like Swedes are one of the like most nicest people you can meet, and Finns are the same, and we actually like each other, but we want to keep that brotherly feud going on. So if Swedes would have 2 nukes, we would get 3 nukes, and then Swedes would get 4, and then we would get 6. You know, we would one-up each other all the time. As researching the Finno-Korean hyperwar. Lol, and Norway will have 5, but keep them in Denmark. Norway would just keep pumping oil. I know about Irish warriors, great country, but please protect it from illegal Muslims entering your country. I'm an immigrant in Ireland. And I like, even in our neighborhood, there's a lot of like Muslim families. They go to work, their children go to school, we all speak English. There's nothing wrong with that. Of course, there's outliers. There's in every single group of people, in every single religion, there's people who are like horrible human beings. But not everyone. That's why I think the immigration process should be really thorough when it comes to. I think that's what everybody wants. You know? Okay, so if your quasi-socialism is so good, why can't you export it to America? Finnkampen. No, because you've been sold the American dream of like capitalism good, everything else bad. You need to grab yourself from the bootstraps and pull yourself up and make your name out of everything and earn as much as money as possible. Never retire. This is my home, nobody else's. If you come close to my home, I'll kill you because I'm afraid of you, because you might be another person that I don't like. So I heard that they are slowly conquering Europe. No. I mean, depends what sort of a news outlet you follow. Why are you in Ireland? They are worse than Swedes. No, Irish are really nice. That's why I'm in Ireland. Nah, capitalism isn't good. Everything else bad. Capitalism is like electricity. It's not good or bad, but I'm not gonna admit it's fundamentally bad. No. Capitalism isn't fundamentally bad. Uncapped free market, where companies can put literal poison in your food just to make better profit. Or create duopolies or monopolies or triopolies. And between companies like cartels, that they decide what prices and they ramp up the prices and make the consumers pay to maximize the profit. Uncapped free market is shit. If anybody fucking stands by an uncapped free market, go fuck yourself. Why do you think a lot of the foods that you have, the additives that you have in America, are banned in Europe? It's not because the European Union is evil. It's because those are fucking dangerous for human consumption. But why are they being used in the United States? Because it's cheaper, you can make more profit, and people aren't any wiser because they've grown in that. You have that, like that system. Hey, I wish America had EU standards. It should be common sense, 100%. And it's just not like, it's not limited to food only. It's like pharmaceuticals, it's even constructions. In the construction industry, in asphalt industry, like everywhere. Some may hate regulation, but regulation is actually good when it comes to, like, for example, food products, about like scientific testing of medicine, about fucking wind turbine wingspans. No. It's like, it might be a bit of both. I inherently don't believe that the companies and the country want to kill their own citizens with food, because they would lose consumers and lose money. And that's at the end of the day, if you look at like any hyper billionaire, they have all the money already. Why do they want more? Because money is addictive, and they also get power by that money. And they can make sure that their families are going to be in power for a long time. They print the money. Did US already buy back their money? Do they still need to take loans from the Federal Reserve? Well, the banks need to take loans from the Federal Reserve, and they bank all the profit from it. Capitalism is so good in such a long term, so long the people got distracted by hedonism and consumerism. True. The most top elite wanna depopulate like me. I agree with depopulation. Now I'm a cynic. I agree. Didn't you just admit how bad human nature is? No. I think humans can change. We just don't want to. I don't know why. We were just having a discussion about this when it came to like the last peaceful decade without any armed conflicts. Think about that. Try and find that. It's quite a long time ago. And then I was told that it's human nature to wage war, and it's like the survival of the fittest and all of that Darwinism. Of course, it's one of your people. Yeah, I know. I noticed you talk about the comment. What is your people? There's actually funny thing going on in Ireland. So I live in Ireland. I live in the north part of Ireland, not in Britain, because thanks to Brexit, like, I'm not gonna live there. When they finally rejoin EU, I'm gonna go to Britain. Nah, just kidding. There's 54,000 people without electricity at the moment in Ireland because there's huge storms going on. Meanwhile, in our town of 10,000 people or so, everything's cool beans, you know? We're Scotland forever. No, I mean transgenders. What about transgenders? I'm not transgender. I think the peak, what's the speaker of purity? I think you need classes. Sorry about that. I actually agree with Georgia guidestones after seeing how bad humanity crap bucket is. Because your name is Alicia. Alicia is a username. It's actually my wife's second name. And I started using it because people were assuming that when I played online games when I was younger, like 10 years ago, they got really mad because I was beating them in FIFA and in NHL. So they started writing to me like in chat that, oh, go back to the kitchen, blah blah blah. And then I turned my voice chat on, and they noticed that I'm not a woman, and they got really awkward, and I fucking love that. Hey, Joel and Pressure Washing 95, thanks for the $4.995. I'll round it up. God damn. Love you, man. Oh well, they ain't. What? What is that? Joe Allen Pressure Washing 95, thanks a million. And Elena subscribed, but we've had such a heated conversation about economy that I didn't see that. Sorry about that, then, Elena. Well, that name and that long hair made him think you're a girl. Yeah, the funny thing is, like, this nickname has been with me since 2011-ish, and I had short hair back then. Your voice is way too low. I mean, they are human, you know, the speaker of purity. I think you're just like one of those Andrew Tate fans, though. It kind of sounds like that. Look at watching a bit of like Andrew Tate and think that you're the shits, you know. Yes, they are. We don't actually take kindly to people dehumanizing other people here. I don't listen to dehumanizing talk, because that's one of the reasons why there's horrible things happening around the world, because we dehumanize others, and that makes it okay to treat them badly. Let's talk about Ireland. So, virtual ownership. While 54,000 people with premises without power with further outages expected, a dozen of flights and ferry sailings cancelled. DART services suspended between Pierce and Dunlacray. Donegal remains under status orange. And meanwhile, we here at the north, I'm not going to show, but I'm here-ish. This is not exact enough. Weird, cool beans. I have electricity, running water, but I do feel bad because we used to live in Cork, and whenever there was like big storms, there would be flooding everywhere in Cork, and like you can't really escape it. The weirdest thing I ever saw in Cork, I was walking because the buses didn't go from the Centrum to Passage where I lived in Cork. So I needed to take a bus to like, I think 20 kilometers from my house and walk the rest of the day, the road. I saw fucking canoes in the middle of the road because it was flooding so bad in Rochestown. Wind troubles. Oh yeah. But this is why we need wind turbines in Ireland. This would be a perfect time. And the funny thing is, like, one of my colleagues said that they don't want wind turbines because they need to pay for the surplus. But then I reminded them that you do know that you can sell the surplus to your neighbors or your towns, and that's completely legal. So they started doing that. Show the pictures. Do we have pictures? That car is cooked. What car? Oh, that one. That doesn't really tell you anything. Nah, that's not that bad. Could be worse. I wouldn't stand that close to that water, though. I think that used to be a road. That looks like a small lake. And it sucks if you live in certain areas in Ireland because the flooding gets horrible. But it was supposed... I think it was red in the afternoon and then it kind of calmed down. In a statement, Galway County Council Chief Executive Liam Connolly said that there have been no significant impacts locally. Climate crisis. No. It's just, we have these storms. Is there any Irish people here? I would say like 3-4 times a year. And it's because like we are an island, so we do have these from time to time. We still have the winter storm coming. It's probably going to be in January. Storm season is called, yeah. So, according to this map, we got this plant of it. Ozzy Osbourne, again. Yes, I am. And I promise I will not go away. I'll make a promise that I will not go away. Hey, let's talk about another topic, which... This is something that I wanted to talk about a while back, but now that it's actually going into effect, this is a nice conversation to have. So, millions of children and teens lose access to accounts as Australia's world's first social media ban begins. So those who doesn't know, Australia is taking a bit of a bold step, and they have decided to ban social media accounts and social media platforms from children under 16. So TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, X, YouTube, Snapchat, Reddit, Kik, Twitch, Threads, those are going away. So the conversation that's been around this is like a lot of parents, especially boomers, are like, yeah, that's a good thing. But I think that social media platforms should have a bit more responsibility when it comes to what's on the platform, you know. They could just set their birthdays to 18. Hey, we can't encourage anyone to break the law. But you are right. It's not solving the problem, definitely not. It's the same thing as like, this is again a gamer thing. I used to play online games. When I played Valorant, remember when Valorant came? I think it was during COVID. In Eastern Europe, I lived in Finland, those lobbies had only Russian players or Turkish players. And every voice chat in games are banned in Russia because the government required the game developers to keep recordings of the voice chats. So, well, the game developers just closed the voice chat. The way that the Russians went around that was, well, through VPNs and others. And the same thing they do with social media like X and such, because X is also banned in Russia. So Russian citizens are using VPNs to access X. Children these days are smart and creative. I do think so. I think that this is, again, from an older generation that doesn't understand progress. I think this law in Australia, even though it is a good experiment, so no other nation needs to do this yet. We can see how this plays out. We can see if this has any benefits. And if it has benefits, then other countries can implement something similar. Maybe make it like below 14 or 15 or even 16. If it doesn't work, then of course we have this valuable data thanks to the Australians. So we can say that, hey, we saw that that didn't work with you guys, so you can keep that. We're not going to do that. So, but I do agree with you, Nicholas, that I don't think banning the whole, like, every single social media platform from under 16-year-olds going to fix anything. I think instead we should hold the companies accountable what's on the platform instead of punishing the children or the teenagers that are using it. You know? That's one way you would actually like okay, this is a weird like leap, but that's one way you would actually decrease the amount of mass shootings in the United States. Bear with me. You need to bear with me. Even though it is a bit of a leap. So if we hold all the gun manufacturers and the ammo manufacturers accountable for all the mass shootings, there would be less mass shootings in the United States. Thank you. I just solved that issue. Over 400 mass shootings a year. But that's not related to the social media platform ban. But I mean, it's kind of the same. So Australia has enacted a world-first ban on social media for users aged under 16, causing millions of children and teenagers to lose access to their accounts. Facebook, Instagram, Threads, X, YouTube, Snapchat, Reddit, Kik, Twitch, and TikTok are expected to have taken steps from Wednesday to remove accounts held by users under 16 of age in Australia and prevent those teens from registering new accounts. Platforms that do not comply risk fine up to $49 million. I wonder if Elon Musk is gonna shit his pants again, because this is clearly a free speech violation and this is clearly censorship, right? America romanticized guns. It's basically part of their culture. That is true, though. It's dangerous how common it is there. Like, I saw guns when I was in Finland because I had friends who hunted. So you can actually like get a gun permit in Finland and you can actually own a gun, but it's made really difficult and you need to take really good care of it. And even though we have access to guns in Finland, we don't really use them on each other, you know? So there's something going on in the minds of Finns, for example, and the minds of the Americans that makes it so that why isn't the Finns, because we have guns as well, why aren't we using them on each other on the same rate as the Americans are? That's something I don't think people are studying enough, and that should be studied. I think it's coming again to the point that we don't fear our neighbors and we don't fear each other. You know, we're like Finns, Swedes, Danish, Norwegian. We're kind of trustworthy when it comes to like each other, and we do like look after each other. And I like to tell this to my Irish colleagues all the time. And people, because I know in my line of work, I have a lot of people around the world. In Finland, I lived like outside of the city. So I lived in one of those suburban rural areas. We didn't lock our door. It's not because I forgot to do it. I didn't see any point in it. It was easier if I forgot my keys home because I knew the door was unlocked, either the front door or the back door. Did we get any robberies? No. That doesn't mean that there isn't robberies happening in Finland. Of course there are. But they're so rare. I wouldn't still encourage, like, I don't encourage anyone to leave their door unlocked. But it is not uncommon to go to your friend's place or go to your, I don't know, relatives or neighbor and they don't have their door locked. Unlike here in Ireland, where a lot of the doors are locked. Which is, I understand, security. But that's the thing that, for example, if we compare the Americans and the Finns, that's one big difference. We don't have to have 10 guns inside that house to protect the house. There have been some teething problems with the ban's implementation. Guardian Australia has received several reports of those under 16 passing the facial age assurance test. Nicholas, see? But the government has flagged it. It is not expecting the ban will be perfect from day one. Of course, it's like a process, so. America romanticized poverty and crimes. They make a movie, games, and entertainment about it through Hollywood and social media. At the same time, we have Tuntematon sotilas, which you need to, like, people need to Google that. What is Tuntematon sotilas? That's the only romanticized, like, war movie that we have. It's a good movie, though. All listed platforms apart from X had confirmed by Tuesday they would comply with the ban. Well, surprise, surprise. Once again, Elon, Trump, Musk didn't comply. The e-safety commissioner Julia Inman Krantz said it had recently had a conversation with X about how it would comply, but the company had not communicated its policies to users. Blue Sky and X Alternative announced on Tuesday it would also ban under 16s, despite e-safety assessing the platform as a low risk due to its small user base of 50,000 in Australia. Children have spent the past few weeks undertaking age assurance checks, swapping phone numbers, and preparing for the accounts to be deactivated. The Australian chief executive and co-founder of the age assurance service KID, Kieran Donovan, said his service had conducted hundreds of thousands of age checks in the past weeks. The KID service was being used by Snapchat, among others. Oh, I don't have my alerts on. But Luke Gonzalez, thanks for the follow. Parents of children affected by the ban shared a spectrum of views on the policy. One parent told The Guardian their 15-year-old daughter was very distressed because all her 14 to 15-year-old friends have been age verified as 18 by Snapchat. Sounds a bit of a loophole there. Since she had been identified as under 16, they feared her friends will keep using Snapchat to talk and organize social events, and she will be left out. Yeah. I kind of feel that. And I understand that. I understand that very completely. And I don't think the boomers who discovered this or invented this have thought about it. Another parent said the ban had forced him to teach his child how to break the law. I've shown her how VPNs work and other methods on bypassing age restrictions, he said. I've had to set her up with her own adult YouTube account and have assisted her in bypassing TikTok's age estimation. God damn. Parent of the year right there. Parent of the year right there. If that parent isn't the left wing, if that's not an anarchist, I don't know what is. Love that. I would do the same for my kids though. Well, to be fair, because this is recorded and this is going to stay on YouTube, I would never encourage my children to break the law. But at the same time, I would. Because, like, they can make their own decisions. Others say the ban can't come quickly enough. One parent said that their daughter was completely addicted to social media and the ban provides us with support framework to keep her off these platforms. Then it's going to be drugs, probably. Yeah. Like, social media is a gateway drug to real drugs, you know? It's going to be LSD and heroin after that. Good luck with that, parent. The Australian Prime Minister Anthony Albanese said in an opinion piece on Sunday, from the beginning, we've acknowledged this process won't be 100% perfect. But the message this law sends will be 100% clear. Australia sets the legal drinking age at 18 because our society recognizes the benefits to the individual and the community of such an approach. Parents these days need to have an advanced knowledge of technology to know the patterns of their kids being doing. Oh yeah. And that's why us millennials are, I'm not going to say good parents, but we are pretty good parents because we've been growing with the technology. Dude's hair is nicer than my ex-wife's. I mean, you still need a wife? Or you can be the wife, I can be the husband, you know? I don't play with the same team though, but I can make an exception for you. And I have a wife, so. You can be my second family. And you can just stroke my hair. That's fine. Seriously, I'm just kidding, guy. Just making light conversation and making fun. But seriously, you know. Just say when. And I'll fly there. And that could be our secret, you know. We could go to like Tenerife, Spain, and spend a weekend there together every now and then. Completely living our separate lives, you know. Well, all right, pal, take care. Hope to see you soon, Gabriel. Give me a call. You scared him. Oh, yeah. No, I don't think I've scared him. I think he just got confused and now he's trying to figure out how to contact me. I can be quite charming from time to time. The fact that teenagers occasionally find a way to have a drink, that should be drinks, doesn't diminish the value of having a clear national standard. Yeah. Polling has consistently shown that 2/3 of voters support raising the minimum age of social media to 16. The opposition, including leaders Susan Ley, have recently voiced alarm about the ban, despite waving the legislation through Parliament and the former Liberal leader Peter Dutton championing it. Here's a hot take. I think the voting age should be lowered everywhere. 17, 16. I think those would be a great age. We get more youth giving their takes. Of course, a lot of those youth would be influenced by their parents. But I do think that we need more the youth's opinion about things that's going to happen within the next like 4, 6 years, 4, 6, 8 years. So I know that's a hot take, but I do think that more young people should be participating in voting and they should have the right to vote. Especially because we're deciding things for them, like this one. So if you make that age 16, everybody under 16, I think they should also have a say on it. Of course, we know what they would say, but then again, we would have that debate and we would have that conversation. Now we're having the conversation without them. And also we should have an age gap of like, how old can a politician be? What do you think, chat? Like, what do you think is the appropriate max age for a politician? I think in the past I've said 60. I think 60 is the max. Because after that, you're starting to just make policies that you get re-elected or something that benefits you. You're not really care about like the future of the country because you're going to be dead soon. So, in my opinion, politicians should be the ones that want to make the immediate effect to make life better in the country. So that's why like the politicians, they should also be limited. Oh, of course, this is a thing in like in certain countries, but politicians should always be limited terms only. Not like in the US that, let's take Nancy Pelosi, who's been a politician in Congress and in like Senate and Speaker of the House for the past, I don't know, 100 years minimum. That shouldn't be allowed. You know, like 2 terms. Or we could just make it like full-blown a corporate. Like, if you don't perform, if you promise during your campaigning that I'm gonna do this, and during your midterm evaluation, if your voters decide that you haven't completed that, with, of course, stats and facts, you would be kicked out. They need to take psychological test repeatedly before they make any decisions for a questionable age. Oh yeah. Crazy from Switzerland. You mean Skeletor Pelosi? Oh yeah, I mean NASCAR Pelosi. I don't know if that's a meme, but that's how I always describe Pelosi. No, NASCAR. I remember the meme that I saw like a while back, that if everybody in Congress would have stickers like in NASCAR, they would be covered by it. Have you ever played Goth 1? No, I don't think I have. But it would literally be something like this. And I think it would be kind of funny to have all the people in Congress and Senate, politicians in general, to have like their sponsor stickers on their outfits. That would be kind of hilarious. What do we think about the ban? Albanese, this is the Prime Minister of Australia, said that all the information gathered in this process would be made public. The regulator would need to assess whether the platforms were taking responsible steps. Yeah. Won't work. I don't think so. Because but I want to see the results. I wonder if they're going to be transparent about the results, because we know how freaking smart the kids are. So you think that you're going to make an age limit for children to use social media outlets, that they don't already know how to go around it. They probably have even like Telegram or WhatsApp groups that are talking about how to get around this. The ban has garnered worldwide attention, with several nations indicating that they will adopt a ban of their own, including Malaysia, Denmark, and Norway. Denmark and Norway, you're smarter than this. Wait until we see the results. They are progressive in paper, but in execution is dog shit. I mean, if you get to the destination, does it really matter how many trees you hit? I don't even know if that's a saying, but that sounds like a saying. Should we talk about Epstein files? Well, this is not necessarily Epstein files, but just give it a couple of generations, the progressive gonna be an actual progressive. Oh yeah. Like the generation that's coming to voting age, they're gonna make a change around the world, and that's scaring the boomers. Hello to you. What up, Muhammad? How you doing? So judge rules Ghislaine Maxwell grand jury records can be unsealed. So we're probably getting more information. And just a reminder, it's 5 days, I think, to the deadline that Trump has to release the Epstein files. And Trump has spent the whole time keeping them. So it just requires Trump's signature, and then the Epstein files will be released. But he's taking his sweet fucking time to release them. Well, he hasn't done that in, what? 4 or 5 years? I just want the fucking files. Yeah, I just want to see who's there. A federal judge in New York has ruled the U.S. Department of Justice can publicly release grand jury materials from Ghislaine Maxwell's sex trafficking investigation. U.S. District Judge Paul Engelmeyer said he was ordering the release of the material because of recent law passed by Congress which requires the Justice Department to publish files related to disgraced financier PDF Jeffrey Epstein by the end of the next week. Disgraced financier. Disgraced. Come on, BBC, you can do better. In his ruling, he said the court would put in place mechanisms to protect victims from the release of the materials that would identify them or otherwise invade their privacy. That's like, I hate the wording on that, because this is the reason also that Trump is speaking about, like, it's gonna hurt people, because they can interpret that as the perpetrators could be also considered victims if they're still alive. Unfortunately, Nicholas, they're gonna hide all the highly well-known people, because they're gonna argue that those are also victims. What about Zohran Mamdani? Zohran Mamdani is fucking awesome. No, I'm still not sure if Zohran Mamdani was actually like a plant from Trump, because of how good friends they were in the White House. But yeah, Zohran Mamdani was really good, like winning the mayor elections in New York. I think Zohran Mamdani, if he's doing even half of the things he said he's going to do, he's going to be a good mayor in New York. I have nothing bad to say about Zohran Mamdani. Like, imagine, like, he's well dressed. He's kind of in line with Bernie Sanders. And he wasn't scared of Trump either. So, and he already like told the ICE agents that they need a judge order, like a search warrant to go inside buildings. And he's still young, true. Maxwell was convicted in 2021 for her role in Loop. This is the part what's bothering me about Maxwell is like he's now in like an open prison, enjoying her life by the Trump administration, but she was sentenced for human trafficking and sex trafficking. Soran is good for the progressive and Muslim who gave a shit about the minority is kind of awesome. Oh yeah, 100%. I'm tired of old men in politics. I am too. We should just get rid of all the old men in politics. No. I need to reiterate because that could take out of context. So I'm not saying we need to get rid of them permanently. We just need to remove them from power. Okay, that could also be taken out of context. What I mean is we need younger politicians. That's what I meant. And she was planning to request to be released. Oh yeah, and like Trump is actually, and the Department of Justice is thinking about releasing her. Which is mind-boggling. Like, why? Prosecutors argued Maxwell recruited and groomed girls some as young as 14 between 1994 and 2004. Maxwell, who is serving a 20-year prison sentence, was moved from Florida prison to a new minimum security facility in Texas in August, after she was interviewed by Deputy U.S. Attorney General Todd Blanche about Epstein. In a letter to Judge Engelmeyer, Maxwell's legal team said she did not take a position on the Justice Department's motion to release the grand jury material. Soran is kind of controversial among the Muslim community because of his public support of the LGBTQ plus people in New York. Yeah, but you have to remember, like, there are a lot of Muslims, but there's 1.6 billion Muslims, and there's a lot of Muslims also who support the LGBTQ plus community. So yeah, he's gonna definitely annoy those hardcore religious Muslims. But then again, he's gonna be like a hero to those progressive Muslims. You know? Would even call them modern Muslims. There's a lot of them, especially here in Ireland, who still are like believers of Islam, but they are a bit more progressive when it comes to like social issues. It's the same thing with like Christianity. Like there are Christians who also support the LGBTQ plus people, but then there's like the hardcore Christians who think that they should burn. Honest opinion. Okay, ask away. And he's part of the minority Muslim sect branch. So yeah, it's kind of complicated among the majority Muslim sect branch. Oh yeah. But it's always like, when it comes to religion, you kind of need to pick a side. Because there's no fucking middle ground. I don't know why. But this is again really good news that we're getting more information about the Epstein case. And it will soon come to an end once we get the documents. Hopefully they are not completely redacted, as I'm afraid that they are. Because people are so freaking scared of it. You want to talk about Gaza? And that's why no mixing religion with politics. Speaking of politics, Gaza Jews cannot proceed with Israeli violations, said Hamas. Hamas has said that the Gaza ceasefire plan cannot proceed to its second phase as long as Israeli violations persist, and called mediators to pressure Israel to respect the agreement. The US-sponsored ceasefire is effective since 10th of October. halted Israel's war, but it remains fragile as Israel and Hamas accuse each other almost daily of breaches. I think it was 300. Yeah. Since the ceasefire, 377. And there's actually like recorded children in that 377. Like as young as 7-year-olds and 5-year-olds. So not a huge fan of that. If you have a ceasefire, you fucking have a ceasefire. That's it. Whoever kills civilians is like they don't have a claim anymore. Meanwhile, an Israeli official claimed that authorities would allow the Allenby crossing on the Israeli-controlled border between Jordan and the occupied West Bank to reopen tomorrow to 8 trucks destined for Gaza, for the first time since late September. But that was one of the parts of the peace, the ceasefire and the peace plan, was in phase 1 to allow the aid to go to Gaza. And all of a sudden it's like 2 months later, now they're letting them go. Hamas Political Bureau member Hossam Badran accused Israel of failing to respect the Gaza ceasefire deal, nothing that under its terms Israel should have reopened the Rafah crossing with Egypt and increased the volume of aid entering the territory, as I said. He urged the mediators, who include Egypt, Qatar and the United States, to pressure Israel to complete the implementation of the first phase of the ceasefire agreement. Under the terms of the deal, Palestinian militants committed to releasing the remaining 48 living and dead captives held in the territory. All of the hostages have so far been released except for one body. In exchange, Israel has released nearly 2,000 Palestinian prisoners in its custody and returned the bodies of hundreds of dead Palestinians. The first phase of the truce also stipulated that significantly more aid entered Gaza, which has not happened. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has claimed he expects the second phase of the deal to begin soon, but Mr. Badran said it could not start as long as the occupation Israel continues its violations. Didn't Netanyahu just, like literally a day ago, 2 days ago, say that they're gonna fucking take Israel to the Mediterranean Sea? I think a progressive Palestine and Israel could be a solution. I do agree. I've said this many times. The solution should be that the leaders of Israel, Netanyahu and the government of Israel, they are trial in Hague and sentenced for crimes against humanity and put in a small box and sent to Antarctica. Also, the leaders of Hamas is trial in Hague, condemned for crimes against humanity, put in a small box and sent to Antarctica. Not death sentence, they would just be sent in a small box in Antarctica. Then those two states would be demilitarized, supervised by the UN. And that would be a literal peace zone where both states, Israel and Palestine, coexist under the supervision of the United Nations. That's it. Crisis over, war over, everybody happy. That would send a message, 100%. It's never gonna happen though. Fuck no. Yeah, too bad, it's never gonna happen. It's because people benefit from this. Mainly Bibi Netanyahu and his benefactors, and also United States and their benefactors. In the announcement of the opening of Allenby crossing, the Israeli officials said in a statement that 8 trucks destined for Gaza Strip will proceed under escort and security following a thorough security inspection. 2 sides is too egoistic, so it's kind of impossible. True. We could just combine them into one, though. create a completely new nation. Swap the name, like scrap the names, because it's the land that they're interested in. So if we just create a new nation there that has both citizens in them as one nation, wouldn't that be also awesome as well? But I do think that if we demilitarize the whole zone and make UN the body of like, what? You look like a PDF. No, I don't. Kind of a weird thing to say. I think you're like projecting, you know? No. I have kids. I have a wife. I can show you. I can show you a PDF if you want to. And this is gonna piss you because I know you're a fan. There you go. Oh yeah, you can search my hard drives. Go for it. You want to search my cloud drives as well. Both from Apple and Google. Yeah. I don't mind. You want to search my old one as well, because every time I upgrade a PC, I keep my old hard drives. You sound guilty to me. Yeah. Good morning, Arush. Israel closed the crossing in the Jordan Valley, also known as the King Hussein Bridge. A Jordanian truck driver shot dead an Israeli soldier and a reserve officer at the border in September. Good night, Alpha. Israel mostly reopened the crossing to travelers a few days later, but not to humanitarian aid destined for Gaza, which has been left devastated by more than 2 years of war. Under the initial steps of the ceasefire plan, Israeli troops withdrew to positions behind a so-called yellow line in Gaza, though they remain in control of more than half of the territory. Israeli military chief Lieutenant General Eyal Zamir was quoted as saying on Sunday that the demarcation line was the new borderline. That's kind of weird. But on Tuesday's land, Samir's comment, the statements clearly revealed the criminal occupation's lack of commitment to the ceasefire agreement. I mean, it's just like they're expanding their territories, and they're doing the same in Syria, and they are requiring Syrians to extend the buffer zone on the Syrian side of the border. They're doing the same in Lebanon. And they literally said a few days ago that they want to extend Israel up onto the Mediterranean Sea, which is a bit of a leap, though, to be fair. There's a few countries in between them. I wonder what's going to happen to them. Gaza is in a civil war. There's a warlord that's trying to remove the Hamas authorities. Oh yeah, there's civil disagreements because there's the Palestinian leaders, and then there's Hamas, and they are both governing the same time on different territories inside Palestine. Which one is gonna come on top depends on so many different things. But yeah, I do think that if we want peace on that region, we need to get rid of Hamas, and we need to get people like Bibi Netanyahu, like those warmongers and child killers away. We can't have people who just enjoy killing humans. You know, you need to be a certain level of evil that you get satisfaction of, like killing innocent civilians, children, and women. The number is still 54,000. No, it's just 25,000 anymore. So during this stream, the number went from 54,000 to 25,000. So little by little, Ireland is surviving. We are getting there, slowly but surely. Let's touch on Japan just before we close out? Good work. Yeah, thanks. No, it was just because of me. I did this. Because of me, people in Ireland get electricity. No, I shouldn't say that, though. Japan earthquake live updates. Mega quake warning issued along 800-mile coastline after 7.5 magnitude tremor. The warning covers approximately 800 miles, about 1,300 kilometers from Chiba to Hokkaido. Japan's weather agency has issued its highest level warning that a megaquake could follow Monday's 7.5 magnitude tremor. Authorities urge anyone living near the Pacific coast to remain vigilant throughout the coming week and to prepare evacuation plans in the case they need to flee their homes. This warning covers approximately 800 miles, stretching from Japan's northeast coast Chiba to east of Tokyo to Hokkaido. According to the government estimates, an offshore megaquake could cause up to 30-meter, 98-foot tsunamis in the region, kill as many as 199,000 people. Oh my. Destroy up to 220,000 houses and buildings and cause estimated economic damages of up to 31 trillion yen, which is $198 billion, which is about 167 billion euros, because euro is stronger than dollar. Monday, small jab again towards the Americans. Monday night's earthquake injured at least 34 people and produced widespread tsunami warnings, with waves up to 70 centimeters seen in several coastal communities. All tsunami alerts have now been lifted, but nuclear power plants in the northeastern region are carrying out urgent checks for impact from the quake, which struck at about 11:15 p.m. in the Pacific Ocean, around 50 miles off the coast of Aomori. For 34 people injured. Japanese Prime Minister Takaichi urges residents to take disaster prevention measures. Can we have a map? More than 100 schools closed. A bit different than in here in Ireland. Benjamin Netanyahu is like Osama bin Laden. That would be a great clip. Well, not a great clip. Imagine if somebody clipped that. Both have an extremist destructive agendas in where their mind are wrapped in a certain religious doctrine and convince themselves that it was the right fucking A. Oh. That is actually quite accurate. That is actually dangerously accurate. And the worst part about it is they are using the same sort of rhetoric that was used back in the 30s and 20s in Germany, which is they are dehumanizing their enemies. Even some ministers in the Israeli government called them subhuman and cockroaches. One of the Israeli ministers, like a year ago, said that if you found a bunch of cockroaches in your house, would you let them stay or would you kill them? When he was asked about, like, why do they kill Palestinians? And that sort of rhetoric generates this sort of like peaceful mindset of killing innocents and not caring about killing children, which Benjamin Netanyahu and Osama bin Laden both share. The only difference in Bibi Netanyahu and Osama bin Laden is the United States isn't going to invade Iraq because of Bibi Netanyahu. Remember? They were chasing Osama bin Laden and they just gave up and went to Iraq and started a war. And then 10 years later, well, not 10 years, 8 years later, they found Osama bin Laden allegedly killed him. Because they threw the body to the ocean instead of like bringing it to the United States. They should have brought it to the United States, but because they didn't, that cast a shadow of doubt, like, why? Why did they do that? You remember the ex-president of Honduras that Trump pardoned? Well, the country of Honduras has now issued an arrest warrant for ex-president Hernández, recently pardoned by Trump. You know why? Because of the fucking crimes he committed. Honduras' Attorney General said he has issued a arrest warrant for former President Juan Orlando Hernández, who was freed from U.S. federal prison last week after being pardoned by President Donald Trump. Ha ha, with Nelson's voice. Attorney General Joel Antonio Zelaya Alvarez said on X Monday that he had asked government agencies and global police agency Interpol to arrest Hernández, who is accused of money laundering and fraud. What are you doing, man? I don't know. Reading news? Talking about politics? What are you doing, man? We have been lacerated by the tentacles of corruption and by criminal networks that have profoundly marked the life of our country, Zelaya said. His post included a photo of the Supreme Court's arrest order, which was dated November 28th, the same day Trump announced his intention to pardon Hernández. Oh, that's good. Well, what you're doing is way better than what I'm doing. Watching me talk about news is better than me reading news, you know? He's a political analyzer, I assume. I think political commentator would probably be more accurate. Or just a clown. I would also accept clown. Or Ozzy. Ozzy Osbourne is something that I've been called way more than political analyzer. Good, I like politics. That's good. Well, this is a good place for you then. A move that drew criticism from both sides of the political aisle in both the US and Honduras. President of Honduras from 2014 until 2022, Hernández was convicted and sentenced last year to 45 years in federal prison and given an $8 million fine by a US judge for drug trafficking offenses. Hernández's domestic charges are in connection with a massive anti-corruption investigation in Honduras known as a Pandora 2, a scheme that implicated top politicians, government officials, and business people in the country. Prosecutors allege Hernández illegally siphoned about $2.4 million in a kickback from public contract for his 2013 campaign. Analyzer sounds more badass. Can you see some news from India of Putin visit? Is Putin in India? No, apparently I can't. He was last week. Oh, it was last week. I can quickly check after this one. In a statement to CNN, Hernández's attorney Renato Stapil said Hernández's arrest warrant was a political play by Honduras's ruling Libre Party, a rival of the Conservatives' national party he once led. This is obviously a strictly political move, blah, 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 victimizing themselves, being the victim, blah, blah, blah. They got caught with corruption and taking money from the cartels, blah, blah, blah. Fine, I'm waiting. Good. Luis Santos, the director of Honduras' specialized unit against corruption crimes, told CNN a few days ago that Hernández had an open case in the Supreme Court of Justice for money laundering and fraud, and that an earlier international arrest warrant had been in the possession of the Ministry of Security and Interpol since September 2023. Santos added that if Hernández did not return to Honduras, they would request his extradition from the United States. Trump formally pardoned Hernandez on December 3rd. Telling reporters at the White House, I feel pretty good about it. He talked to a few people from Honduras and said that he's a good guy. And he also called again, a Biden witch hunt, which is a typical move from Trump. Always saying that it's a Biden witch hunt. That's his go-to. It's ironic that Trump pardoned a drug lord while saying that they're fighting against drugs. All right, let's see. He's a good guy with money and brown envelopes. Sounds about right. Let's take this. So what Putin and Modi got out of Delhi meeting? Russian President Vladimir Putin will wind up a packed day in India at the place where he began his official engagements with a banquet at the president's house where he received a guard of honor in the morning. You girl or boy, I'm a man. And when you're speaking to me, you speak like to a man, you know? Just kidding. Like, who fucking gives a shit? You know? We're into the internet, so who the fucking cares? Most of the Indian media is controlled by the Modi. I've read and heard that there is not that much press freedom in India. I don't want to overly generalize, but I have people living in, I know people living in India, and they are like born and raised people from India, and they've said the same thing. But again, because it's not my area of expertise, I don't want to generalize. You literally could tell he's a man by looking at his manly jaw. or my manly nose, you know. The nose is quite big though. It's actually been broken once, so but that's probably the reason. So let's see what they... Plenty of bomb, but few concrete announcements. Okay, let's see. Shut your mouth. This is my favorite trans streamer. Okay, well, whatever rocks your boat. Please don't ban. No. I mean, you want to call me Ozzy Osbourne, you want to call me Gordon Ramsay, fucking Optimus Prime. People treat him like a god. Oh, I thought you were the same because your icon looked the same as the previous commenter, so I was like, god damn. No. Yeah, I don't think they treat him as a god, but they are treating him as the divine arbiter of his own rules. And of course, he has a bit of a grip when it comes to like political pressuring of the media and what's the narrative. And that's why he's aligning with Putin as well. Who's Modi? Modi is the president of India, right? No, prime minister, sorry. You don't have presidents there because, yeah, sorry. My bad. Prime minister, prime minister, sorry. I know. Sorry. The supreme leader of India. No, just kidding. Do one mistake and you get corrected instantly. Do you agree with church which says that the earth is flat? Which fucking church says that? I agree that if you believe the earth is flat, there is no hope for you. So you should lobotomize yourself and make a service to everybody else so you don't vote. Which country are you from? Finland, but I live in Ireland. I heard he's a part of a major conservative party in India. Yeah. We have, but they are useless. Where are you from, man? I'm not the best with accents. Yeah, so from Finland originally, but I've been living in Ireland for a few years. What's the time there right now? Here in Ireland, it's almost 9 o'clock. What I don't get is who would side with Putin, like deliberately choosing the losing side, wrong side of history. I think it's about money, again, unfortunately, because Russia, at the end of the day, they've lost so many partners in around the world. So it's really beneficial for India to just be like doing business with Russia because they know they are they have the upper hand in negotiations with Russia. I think India is pragmatic. Yeah, then I guess the world is not flat because it's 2:07 a.m. in India right now. Yeah, but like, you know, flat earthers also believe that time is just an illusion and time is an invention, and that Putin has opened his own media in India. God damn. But India is a big market. I know that. Because that's the market I manage as well. We can't entertain flat earthers, I don't think. We can. I think the funniest thing about flat earthers is they believe that those Viking planets and terrains are real. They think there's outside the ice wall, there's another continent called Valhalla, and another continent called Atlantis, and then there's another ice wall after that, and there's another few continents there, and it's just pure stupidity. Originally, when I read like about flat earthers years ago, I thought it was a joke, and then I actually met a few of them, and they honestly believe that the Earth is flat. And I'm just, yeah, you can't really help them. I'm not a religious man, so I'm not going to tell that I pray for them. Lobotomy would be probably the appropriate thing to do. I heard Ireland has beautiful castles. Is it? We do. We do have some beautiful castles. And we have some old castles as well. It comes from a state of not knowing what's going on. I think I understand how some fall into it. I don't see how you keep choosing.